Hello friends, welcome back. There was actually some delay in my video from the last session, so sorry about that. So from now onwards, we'll be publishing the upcoming videos. Also, will be in the series, so without any delay. So we today we are going to discuss about the filtering in PowerShell. And so let's go through how it is and what it is and how it will benefit actually while using the PowerShell commands or scripting. So we just to recall actually the last session we discussed about the WMI object and how we should use WMI. And so hope you have already done the required practice in your lab. And so without any delay, so we are just starting with the filtering. So what is filtering and how we can use it? And so along with the filtering, we'll be also discussing about where object. And so this is the content actually we will be discussing today. So first we'll start with what is filtering. And so as it names, so it is just a filtering and filtering out the things what you need and what is not needed. We can just filter out. So as an example, when we tested the last the lab, so for example now we can see the get sim instance, that is the WMI command, and we just use the Win32 disk drive. So when we use this, so for example, let's say we have multiple drives. So in this, out of this, you want to see only the specific model or maybe the size or maybe the disk drive. So how we can actually using the filter, we will be able to filter only the specific model or whatever the content you would like to be listed, so that you can filter using the PowerShell command. So that is where we are going to discuss about with an example, with a few examples actually today. So hope you got some idea about the filtering. And without talking more, just one more thing would like to add more in actually in this. So mostly we will be as a Windows administration part, or maybe as a Windows administrator or an Active Directory administrator. So it will be more useful because you will be able to use this filter in your day-to-day activities and scripting, and so which will be very much very much useful actually for your the job. So let's get started actually with an example. And in this example, as you can see in the screen, so we have the unfortunately we have only one disk. So let us actually switch into the Active Directory. So we can actually use more examples specific to the Active Directory. Let's maximize. So as you know, we have seen in the previous lab, so we have multiple users, and this is the domain controller, and you can see multiple users and computers in each OUs. So we will, for example, we need some of the users which are actually disabled users, or which are not disabled. So let's do an example. So in this case, you can see the get AD user is a command, and we use the filter. And just remember that always, or most of the scenarios will be using the commands, or whatever the parameters, or whatever the queries that we want, actually we'll be using inside the bracket. So the curved bracket. So this is where actually we will mention the conditions. So that will be inside the bracket. And some of the scenario we can also without a bracket. I will show you how it is. And in this case we are actually filtering only enabled is equal to false. So that means disabled users, if we want to find out from AD, so we can use this particular command to select only the name. So I just actually used only the name, and if we want, we can actually add more properties also along with. For example, now the OU, there is no object actually, so maybe it's a DN. So here it is. Yeah, so in this case we can also use this way, and whatever we want to filter, this way we can actually filter out. So this is actually one of the repeatedly using report or requirement actually for AD administrators generally, as part of the cleanup or maybe auditing or something like that. So we can easily, in one command, we can actually list out all the enabled users, all the disabled users from AD, and vice versa. Actually, even for enabled users also, actually we can pull it equal to true. So this way we can actually pull out the report. And so this is one of the way we can actually use the filtering. And I'll show you one more thing about how without bracket, which scenario we'll be using it. So in this case, actually we have only one drive, so which I'm using actually in the virtual environment. So we don't have much, we don't have more, but I'll just show you how the command can be used with in such scenarios. So we use same command. So instead of this one, so get sim instance and win32 disk drive minus filter. And so here actually we will put it in the double quote first, like for example now model. So what the model we can see here, it is a property. So what we are getting from the in the output, so the model is equal to, in a single quote you can mention whatever we would like to search in the model what we are displaying here. So I'm just giving star, or I can say I want only the VMware related. So I just put the VMware and star, and close both of the quotes, and you can put a pipe and select object. Maybe you can put only the name and comma size. So as you can see here, I just tried a few things here. So while I was actually on mute, so here we have to. This is one of the scenario where you have to use without the bracket. So where I have mentioned that here the model is something like VMware comma VMware virtual S SCSI disk device. So I just tried here few things where I just try to give in the in between letters or the words to list out. So that was not working. So I had to give the entire the model, the entire specific full details I need to give inside this bracket to list out. So in this case you can see I just tried name and size. So physical drive 0 and this is a size. You can see the same thing in the previous output, and I just filtered out using this method. So after filter you need to give the first quote and whatever the property you would like to filter, and then you have to give the description of that in a single quote. Then you have to close the double quote, and then after that pipe, and you can select whatever the properties you would like to display for the specific output. So this is how actually you need to do it when filtering using without using the bracket like any conditions. So this is one of the method. So what is the difference between this and the other one is that this is actually there is no condition. We are just listing and filtering only the specific property, and there is no condition we are giving, and any conditions we are giving that will be inside the bracket, the curved bracket as it is mentioned here. So any conditions based on the output, whether it is true or false, it will be filtered actually within the filter. So here one thing actually would like to specifically mention the main difference between the next topic we are going to discuss about where object. So here just keep in mind that the filter is always actually the left side of the pipe. So the main difference is it will be the left side of the pipe, and the difference between where object and filter is also there is a major difference. I would actually will explain that after when we go through the where object also. So then currently you just keep in mind only that the filter is always actually left side of the pipe, and where object is always the right side of the pipe. So next we are going to discuss about where object, and for that again I will take the AD as an example. So we'll run the commands here. So we are starting with the command called get AD computer minus filter. In this case we need to call star. So that means so it will actually list out in this AD I have only 3 computers, so that is why we have all 3 here. That is VM1, VM2 as well as the server. So in this example what we can do is so when we give filter and star, so that means that will list out everything in every property is actually inside that. So all the objects it will display here, and from this how we will filter. So let's say we can see here so the name is this one, and maybe we don't have the operating system. So let's do one more thing. Hope you understood the difference between all these commands. So what I have done is that I'll just explain little bit. So here when you see here the first part, I have not used any used any properties to call. So that means it will be the default objects, the properties will be displayed here, and if you would like to filter after the select only the specific properties and list out that. So what we need to do is that we have to filter star and then properties minus properties, and you need to give all the properties name you would like to specifically actually to call in. So here I would like to know the name and the operating system, and that is actually taken. And that's next example I have just given here. So this is a final command just to this is just to show you how it is working. So here the AD get AD computer and then filter star and properties. I just would like to have only name and operating system. So I am just doing the filter here itself. So that in the first place I am doing the filter and taking only the properties name and operating system, and then I'm just displaying the name and operating system this way. So you can see the output difference, how it is listing out. And now we will do another example. So here instead of star, what we are going to do is that we will just call out, we'll put a condition here. I just need only Windows Server 2016 standard as an example. So what we will do is, how we will do this part is, so the mistake in this condition is simple actually. So I just given the properties here, so that is the wrong one. I just need to update. So you can see here the output is coming the same way, and so you can see it is filtered only the required one here, and I just would like to see only Windows 10 computers. So let us try with the other one also. So you can see here Windows 10 VM1 and VM2 is the Windows 10 machines, so that is displaying here. And so here it is, one problem is that operating system is not displaying properly, because we are actually the operating system we are filtering here itself. So we are only displaying Windows 10 here, and that is where the reason we don't have the property. We had not called the property here, so that is the reason we are getting this blank for the operating system part. So let's try if we can try to get that. So but it maybe it will not work. Yeah, it is working fine. So for example, now the same way if you want to get it, because here what I'm doing is after filtering that, again I'm just calling the properties these two, and so that I am getting the details in the output. So here the same way we can do it for any operating system, and hope you understood how we can actually use the filter with the conditions and without the conditions, the direct filter. So this is how actually the filter will work. So now let's talk about the where object. So that is another kind of filter, and we'll show you with an example. So here we can see how we are using the the where object. So here I just use the example as get hotfix is actually for displaying the any installed Windows update. So I just used a where object hotfix ID is like KB31 star. So that is the first one I used, and second one I used just to list out all the KBs, and that is KB star. So here in this case what we can do is we can filter all hotfix ID and which is starting with the KB and star, and anything after the KB it will list out from the specific object as a specific computer. So here one more thing I would like to specifically mention, as we mentioned previously. So the where object is actually the right side of the pipe, and previously the filter actually was before the left side of the pipe. So that is a major difference. I'll tell you what is the major difference and how it will make actually the big difference in your scripting. So here before going to that, one more example we'll do, and that is the recommended way of using the same command. So what we are doing is, here I'm just putting the bracket, and yes, so here we have a difference. So this is the recommended way you have to run the where object, and what is the difference between this and the previous one? So here we are actually saying the first one, what we are doing is, based on the heading, the property, we are actually filtering directly. So in all cases that will not work actually as expected, because some of the property we will be since we are actually using after the pipe. So this is not the correct method we need to use it, because the output may vary, and the recommended way we need to use is actually the where object, and inside the condition, like inside the bracket, you need to use the underscore dollar underscore dot the hotfix ID. So this means, what is dollar underscore? So that means the data which is coming from the get hotfix. So specifically we are mentioning that so whatever the output we are getting from get hyphen hotfix, that means before the pipe, and inside that particular output, so that is that is referring by using this particular dollar underscore, and out of that particular output data, and it is finding out what is hotfix ID, that is the subject or maybe the heading, and that information is like KB star. So it is just fetching in this particular output where the hotfix ID is the subject or maybe the heading, and in that whichever starting with the KB. So rest of the numbers doesn't matter, and this is how it is actually filtering out. So in this case, if you would like to instead of a star, so if you would like to call it as 45, so it should list only the KB, and starting with the KB 45, I just need to give 45 star, because there is nothing called 45. So it should display only the KBs which are starting with the KB 45. So in this case, there are 4 KBs. So this is how actually you need to work on filters. And the final thing we would like to tell you, like, what is the difference between where object and filter? So as mentioned previously, where object is always after the pipe, and filter is always the left side of the pipe. And this is in very simple when we are talking, but when we use or wherever possible, you use filter, and where filter is not available, then only you use where object. Why? Because when we are doing remote execution of the script for collecting some information from a remote machine, so if you are using actually the where object, so this is filtering after executing the first command. That means when we use this will take a longer time, because it is fetching all the information in the first place, and once those informations are actually fetched, then after the pipe we are actually putting the command called where object, and then this filter. So it has to process 2 times than when we use filter, it will filter in the first place itself. Hope you understood the scenario. So we can save time when we run the or trying to fetch more information from a remote machine. And for example, let's say maybe 500 machines or 1000 machines, if you are running remotely to get some information, and for example, like a patch compliance, you would like to search a particular KB and on a remote machines. So in this case, if you use filter and put the whatever the conditions, then it will fetch easily and faster than when we use where filter, because it has to use first fetch all the information, then it has to filter afterwards, where the filter is always actually filtering in the first place itself. So hope you understood the filter and the where object, and so I try to explain little some places little wider, but I hope you understood the situation and scenario, how where and all we can use it. And in case if any doubts or comments, please put it into the comment box so that I can explain in detail, or I can help you out. So keep supporting, and please share the video if you liked it, and also put a like and thumbs up, then subscribe my channel. And thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.